С вами Ванити, и это The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe снова. И снова нас просят ввести текущее время. В прошлый раз нам сказали, введите ваше любимое текущее время. Но я введу, наверное, то время, которое у нас стоит. Но сейчас... такое. Эх. Чуть-чуть. 8:50. Ах, эти 8:50 п.м. Ваше любимое время? Ну, не совсем, это скорее честное время. Или вы не смогли удержаться и снова выставили правильное? Да. Я ведь знаю, как вам нравится выставлять точное время. Теперь мне интересно, точно ли сейчас 8:50 п.м? Тут мне нужен еще один ползунок. Насколько точное время 8:50 п.м? Очень точное. Вы знаете, неважно, насколько точно вы выставите часы, мне просто нравится выбирать настройки. Я больше узнаю о вас и о том, какие настройки вы предпочитаете. Приятно собирать данные. Вот бы нам еще ползунков, но кажется, у меня все кончились. Может быть, я придумаю новые ползунки, чтобы больше о вас узнать. Дело плевое. Сейчас накидаю пару новинок. К следующему запуску игры должны быть готовы. Вот таким интересным текстом нас встречают. Ах, конечно же, The Stanley Parable 2. Как иначе? Ой, какой прекрасный эффект. О, с сгибающимся коридором. Ну, давайте начнем.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee.
Ах да, точно, такое начало. Но мы, наверное, это пропустим. Мы это уже видели. И у нас полностью новый преображенный офис.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Да, что бы это могло быть?
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Что? Ах да, фигурки нам надо искать. Я совсем о них забыл. Опять это ведро. Но мы тебя не будем уже брать на этот раз. Что там в компьютере? Разные компьютеры издают разные звуки. Ах да, выбор. Точно.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Какую дверь мы еще не заходили? В правую.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room
Да, но мы ее пройдем быстро.
eager to get back to business,
Точно, мы же
Stanley took the
впереди
first
не
open
были.
door on his left.
Мы здесь не доезжали до самого конца
Stanley was so
платформы.
bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
О, да.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not
Да,
sure
да,
it
какой
really
огромный...
I realize that investing
Кстати, а
your
там
trust
можно
in
было
someone else
как-то...
can be difficult, but the fact is that the story
Подожди,
has been
там
about
фигурка.
nothing but you all this time.
Туда как-то
There's
можно
someone you've been
попасть.
neglecting, Stanley.
Да,
Someone you've
определенно
forgotten.
как-то можно попасть.
Please,
Там фигурка.
stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Да? В смысле, она ждет меня? Мне кажется, это путь в бездну. Я тебе не доверяю. Я лучше вот здесь вот усядусь и посижу. Не могу здесь ничего не... Ну, вилочный погрузчик. У меня есть определенная лицензия на него. Ну, должна быть. Не хочу, там темно и страшно. И там ничего не видно.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her.
Ты чё так пугаешь?
Place your faith in another, then pick.
И? Где она? Дайте мне ее услышать же.
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
Да, это
Hold
я.
on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
Какой
Okay, there we
голосок-то?
go. All right, now I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving
О, а
wife
вдруг?
who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here,
Вот
Stanley.
это вообще было
I'm trying to get you
оскорбительно.
to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Это я не хочу.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Это наглость вообще несусветная.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
После смерти. Хочу я ничего не нажимать. Квартирка какая-то фиговая. Выпустите меня отсюда. Нет, я не буду нажимать. Что хотите, то и делайте. Просто вот так вот усядусь и все. Нет? Блин, похоже, нам придется нажать.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that
Сам ты
demands nothing of him,
скучный.
and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Эй.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Хочу я нажимать.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful.
Это что,
And each
все
day that he
мечтания были
returned to
мои?
work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
О, выглядит как рабочее место наше.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either.
Это
At
буквально
last,
пересказ того, что у нас было.
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful
А нас
to
сюда
behold.
даже не пускают обратно. Я ничего не хочу больше нажимать.
As he wandered through this fantasy world,
Ого.
he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a
О.
yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Сказать детям сказку?
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never
Ничего не
end,
меняется.
that he might
Блин,
always feel
дайте мне выйти.
free.
Не хочу это слушать от этого противного ужасного голоса, который издевается надо мной.
But there is no answer.
О.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed.
Сейчас у нас потихоньку все в офис наш превратится.
The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
В смысле, не нажимать. Нажать?
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Ой. Так, нажимаем или нет? Ай, ладно, давайте нажмем L.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see.
Может
Maybe
быть.
this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Какую?
And I tried.
Вот это да. Как-то мрачно все это звучит. Я даже сам не ожидал такого. На самом деле концовка была какая-то мрачноватая. Вау. Я, по-моему, такого не видел.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Новые чашки? О, классно. Меняется все, меняется, говорю же. Ой, как у меня нос чешется. Меняется. Так. Что это за компьютер? Нужно ввести 4, 5. В этом определенно есть какая-то загадка. Давай-ка ведерко возьмем.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Вперед мое ведро.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo
Я не
lift.
хочу в карго-лифт. Здесь есть... Как-то... Я могу сюда. Вот. Вот так вот. Ого, здесь даже два пути. Я хотел взять фигурку. Блин. Ну ладно, я хотел взять фигурку, которая валялась там. Вау. Огромное количество кассет. Зачем оно здесь? Неужто это предзаписанный голос тебя, оратор?
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know.
Какой ужас.
Track.
300 дней.
Feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time
Какой
I pick it up.
кошмар. Ведро управляет нами и дает нам счастье.
It's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it.
Ужас.
Still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
О,
Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
а не стоит ли сейчас кто-нибудь за нами? О, кошмар. Как страшно-то. Мы снова в офисе. После этого жуткого кошмара.
All of his
Ведром.
co-workers were gone.
А если я без ведра туда пойду?
Stanley decided to
Я
go to the
пропущу
meeting
это
room.
дурацкое
Perhaps he had
ведро.
simply missed a memo.
Мне не нужно оно. Больше, кстати, нового контента не показывают нам.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Oops.
he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Все корректно,
well.
я еще и
Perhaps he wanted
фигурку
to stop
заберу.
by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Я ж
The
в прошлый
lounge
раз
was
не просто
sublime,
так это
a
все
work of
увидел.
art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Вот.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've
Еще одну
nearly gotten
фигурку
all of the
найти,
Figler
и
and
всё.
Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be
Мгм.
different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Ну, только вот проблема в том, что это одинаковые фигурки. Если мы упадем, мы разобьемся, да? Глупо будет, конечно. Но если мы без ведра сюда пойдем, то ты нам скажешь без ведра. А вот мы и здесь.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path
Я же говорил, что, возможно, это все было записано задолго. Нету никаких скрытых путей. Вроде бы нету.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Да ты серьезно? Обратно меня, что ли, перезагрузил? Я, может, хотел там что-нибудь найти. Ой, какой неинтересный оратор. Ну, фигурка важнее ведра. Конечно. Но как мы можем быть без успокаивающего ведра? Это успокаивающее ведро, кстати, дает нам другие пути. Я, правда, ничего с ним не могу нового сделать, но давайте пойдем с ним.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Будем следовать указаниям. Да, как найти их все? Здесь нет никакой подсказки. Между красной и синей. Вау! Нам, кстати, нужно сделать так, чтобы было между красной и синей. Как же это сделать?
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Я хочу еще стикеров. Ладно, пойдем. Ты еще и застреваешь? Подожди. Я могу сломать дверь. Зачем? Давайте-ка попробуем еще раз. Странно. Мне понравилось.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
А здесь мы уже все взяли. О. Здесь мы уже все взяли.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Блин, ты мне новый код не дал.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Это ужасное место. Страшное, капец.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Это меня жутко пугает. Электричество, блин.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Точно. Мы ж пытались обратно все вернуть.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both.
По-моему, они не работают. Они же должны быть включены. Разве нет?
The monitors jumped to life,
вот.
and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Да, все будет хорошо.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
Never!
At this point, he could trust no one.
Мне очень нравится, как все происходит. Но мы должны на этот раз включить обратно комнату майнд-контрола.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
Стэнли и ведро против мира.
And the bucket made a sassy comment about
Так я, наверное, и назову эту часть выпуска. Так, я хочу включить.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly.
Чайки. Блин.
The control button.
Блин, чайки. Глупые птицы теперь называется вся эта комната контроля. Не, ну на глупых птиц можно много смотреть. Я больше ничего с вами не могу. Может, я сбежать отсюда могу от этих глупых птиц? Нет, меня не выпускают. Это мучение. Ладно, давайте нажмем еще раз. Фламинго? Так, мне нравится.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
Все мы оставим
Stanley and
здесь.
the bucket never
Мы...
found freedom because
Все,
they
что
spent the rest
есть,
of
мы
their
оставим
lives here
здесь.
in this
Мы наш
place,
ум,
living
нашу
through
жизнь
life
и
streams
все
of the
остальное. У
silliest
нас
birds
есть теперь
imaginable.
прекрасная
Of all the possible paths his life could
прекрасная
have taken,
утка.
this one was
Гусь.
surely the best.
Да, у нас есть прекрасный
And
гусь.
Stanley was happy.
Да, я теперь точно счастлив. Так, а если бы я нажал свободу?
Already this was uncomfortable,
Не-не-не, мы
and
по
Stanley
тому же
decided
пути
that as soon as he
пройдемся,
found
но
a
с
new
ведром.
space
И
he
я
felt
хочу
safe in,
посмотреть, что там
warmth
будет со
spread
свободой.
through
Молчи.
Stanley's eyes.
Я уже все
With the
слышал,
bucket in
я
his
уже
arms
все
again,
знаю.
he was home.
Мы пойдем в свободу.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door
Просто
on his
уйдем отсюда и больше никогда не вернемся. Я все знаю. Все ваши пути, все ваши пароли. Ничего не надо ждать.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs
Зайдем
to the
везде,
boss's
потрогаем
office.
все. Закрыто? В смысле это не закрыто? Зайдем сюда. Катаемся на лифте. Который нас на самом деле никуда не привезет. Можно часами ездить на нем. Вау. А можно часами, просто годами ездить на нем, но мы никуда не приедем.
Manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket
знал.
guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Поехали отсюда. Опять все ломается, но нам пофигу.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
То же самое. Хочу свободу посмотреть. А что бы было, если бы я выбрал другую кнопку? Давай, открывайся.
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered.
А что мы будем делать
Stanley and the
дальше?
bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down
Oh.
here, a bit cold perhaps.
Класс.
After some time had gone
И
by, they
мониторчик.
installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful. for
Мне
when the
уже
bucket was
нравится, как
craving
мы здесь
convenience.
обустраиваемся.
But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that
Так
it really
лампово и
started to
классно.
feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the
А
mind
мне это и
control
не надо
facility.
больше.
This
Ваши
lack of closure
секреты,
began to eat at him.
управление разумом.
Soon he was dwelling on his regrets.
Он
and the
прекрасно.
state of their home slowly decayed. as
Смотри
Stanley
на два
became
деревца
withdrawn
в
and neglected
степи
the cleaning.
и радуйся им.
It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail.
В смысле, я был другим. Что это за ожоги? А, это разбитая посуда, наверное.
Staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made
Хочу
no
я.
sense at all to the bucket. which was simply trying to live its life
Я
down here
хотел
as
вообще-то
comfortably as
узнать,
possible.
что ж будет с концовкой свободы.
Inconsolable.
Как же мы освободимся вместе с ведром, а не вот это вот все. Все ведро виновато. Это все ведро сделало
It wasn't an ending. But it's
Это
where
не
we
я
happen to
сломал.
be.
Это
And
одно
maybe,
заставило
possibly,
меня.
if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
У меня не такой офис был. У меня не такой офис был.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Мне даже ведро на этот раз не дали. А если я обратно сюда приду? Надо было в другую дверь идти. Ну ладно. Ну не ломайся ты.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Опять по этим же старым
Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as
коридорам
possible.
ходить.
He didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator
Замолчи, я
That
все
kind of
знаю без тебя
anxiety
уже.
isn't healthy.
Какие высокие
So he
потолки.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Ненавижу я эту музыку уже. Пустите меня обратно.
Feeling soothed and
Нет, не
rejuvenated,
успокаивающе.
Stanley
Дайте мне
calmly
на
walked
фортепиано
forward
поиграть.
into the opened passageway.
Могу я что-нибудь еще сломать здесь? Я не ожидал, что я упаду. С этим дурацким ведром. А если я хочу без дурацкого ведра упасть? Тоже знал, что я случайно упал.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room
Вот,
packed
я
with
вот так вот
television
сделал и
screens.
все.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength? Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control
Да,
facility.
классно, да?
Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're
Я
all
же
very,
умный
very
тоже
clever.
был.
Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception.
Еще
of the
нового
value of these
контента
updates.
мы
Isn't that what
нашли.
you crave?
Ну,
New
наконец-то. А я-то уж
content.
думал, что мы
Always
пойдем
more
по
content,
старым.
More content, more. And I'm here to give it to you.
Давай,
I'm here
давай,
to
давай,
make it
давай.
seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this
Класс.
section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track Good job you've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Well done.
Мне даже нравится, кстати.
You did it. Good job.
Ладно, я беру свои слова обратно.
3, 2, 1. Good job. You made it to the bottom of the
Хотя
mind
не,
control
ничего так звучит.
facility.
Вполне себе
Jump on the
неплохо.
catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. The railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Что ж, я думаю, это прекрасная возможность завершить нам все. Что мы, собственно, и сделаем. Мне очень понравилось то, что мы увидели. Я на самом деле не ожидал, что мы найдем что-то новое. Казалось бы, практически все пути были пройдены, и мы все смогли потрогать. Но оказалось, нет. Тут столько много всего нового. Тут столько много всего интересного, что мы вернемся сюда еще не один раз. Смотри, не съешь все вкусняшки, которые у тебя есть. Или надо было... Тихо. Никаких вкусняшек у Саши нету. Надеюсь, ты в наушниках меня смотришь. Может, она уже вышла. И я не спалил ее. Нет, она здесь. Надо было ничего с собой не брать, кроме еды. Что, прям все так плохо?